the Pledge of Allegiance, then we'll meet. Let's do that. So we'll begin. We'll call the meeting to order. Today is Thursday, July 15th, 2021, 1:30 p.m. for the Beaufort County Airports Board meeting. If we ever stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United
States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, if everybody would go ahead and mute their microphone, please, so we don't get any feedback. Public notification of this meeting has been published, posted, and distributed in compliance with the South Carolina Freedom of Information Act. We need to get an approval of the agenda. If anyone, I guess we need a motion to approve the agenda. Howard approves. Do we have a second? Nick seconds. So the agenda is approved. Next, we need to do the approval of the minutes. This is from the board meeting dated June 17th, 2021 at 1:30 p.m. It was a WebEx meeting called to order by Chairman Trey Ambrose. If everybody's reviewed the minutes, if anybody has any changes, suggestions, alterations, please speak up now. Any comments? Nobody? Then I need a motion to approve the minutes from the June 17th, 2021 meeting. Brian makes a motion. Did I get a second? Nick and Thomas both second. So we have a second on the meetings. They are approved as written and submitted. Public comment. We will now open the floor to public comment. I have a couple of comments I'd like to make, but I'll go ahead and open up the floor. And we'll limit this to 3 minutes per person. If anybody has a comment, go ahead and unmute and raise your hand. I'll call you. Anybody? Doesn't look like any. I just want to take a minute to thank Jim Atkins and the Beaufort Flying Club, along with the St. Helena Altitude Academy. Last weekend, they invited the St. Helena Altitude Academy out to the airport to get some free flights. 26 students from the rural areas of St. Helena showed up. Very exciting. I think they had 3 airplanes, do 3 different rounds of flights with the kids. A lot of these kids had never been within 100 feet of an airplane, much less flown on one. So it created a lot of excitement and a lot of interest and smiles for those kids. I understand that the BAA has received a $10,000 grant from Lockheed Martin to do a STEM program with the St. Helena Academy. So it's really exciting that we're getting these local kids interested. They probably have all driven past the airport 1,000 times and never realized that they were welcome and encouraged to come out there and participate. So I just want to take a minute to thank the BAA and Jim Atkins for putting that together. Any other public comments? All right, let's move on to the director's report. This makes my job easy. John Rimbold, you have the floor.
All right, thanks, Trey. And I'm going to share my screen. So in a moment, you should see my PowerPoint come up. All right. Everybody see a picture of the new terminal? All right, good. All right, well, welcome to the July board meeting. Hard to believe we're done with half of the year already, but we are. And as you may or may not remember, the county turned over fiscal years. So Happy New Year. We're now fiscal year 22 for the county. It gets extremely confusing for us because our county fiscal year is July to June. Federal fiscal year is October to September. And then, of course, half of the grants that we deal with locally are on the calendar year cycle. So it gets real interesting for the finance folks in our business department who track our grants. So Happy New Year if that applies to you. All right, let's move along. Talk about ARW and the stats first. You can take a look at 2021 really is tracking nicely. Calendar year 21 here. That's how we're tracking these stats. So January to December. avgas sales have continued to trend up ever since we made the adjustment last summer. This time last summer, it's been a year since we reduced avgas prices in order to make that, very competitive around the area, and certainly to draw more people in. We've seen that happen, obviously, and you see by the number of operations we have, and just the volume of gas that we're selling. Paul's going through, in some months, he's going through a complete tank of the farm each month. We never used to do that in avgas. We used to sell between 2,000 and 3,000 gallons a month, and you can see what he's doing month after month up there. So that has made a huge impact, and I can tell you that just from being in the terminal and listening to folks, we had some folks come in yesterday who were flying down to Florida, and they said that on their way back up, this is going to be their stop as well, because they searched the not only the area, nice place to land, but they look for those fuel prices too. So it is working, and those folks will go home and they'll tell the people at their airport. And over the next couple of years, we'll probably see a few of them as well. So if you multiply that by the number of folks who are having that experience, we should continue to see a nice uptick in visitors to the Beaufort area. And we are tracking those numbers now, and so we'll try to get that out. I don't know if we had Paul on here. I think we had Paul on the call, but I didn't look right before the meeting to see what our number is. So Paul, are you on here? Can you say how many visitors we've seen?
It's been about between 600 and 700 visitors from out of town come through this terminal per month.
Thank you. That's huge, and we're tracking that for a reason. Number one, it's just great to know, and it's great for you folks to know how many people are using that airport and then coming into the local town and spending their money. Some of those stay overnight, some just come for a day and shop and dine and that sort of thing. But it's also important. We're tracking that for A-tax and H-tax reasons, because we want folks to know for those funding reasons how many people are coming into the area via the airport. Okay, you can see the jet, same thing. Great volume of jet sales. Things are looking good there as well. So we hope to see that continue. And those are pretty strong numbers for the summertime. As you may recall, as the heat sets in, as you can see year over year, it does tend to dip in the summertime. So those are good numbers. And there's your total flow. Again, very strong numbers for the whole year. So we're definitely happy about that. And I think we're seeing a resurgence a little bit in general aviation there. So very encouraging numbers. And there's your flight ops. A little bit lower in ops, but more fuel sales. So. And then, of course, with those tourist numbers increasing, that's a good indicator as well. All right, just real quick news updates for ARW. Paul, you'll have to remind me the exact date for the cookout for Aviation Week, but as you may recall, Aviation Week is in August. It centers around Orville Wright's birthday, which is the 19th. And so the state always recognizes that week, and we're going to do a little cookout up at Beaufort Executive. And Paul, is it the 15th or 22nd?
It's the 22nd.
Okay, thank you. So make sure people know that we're going to do a cookout up there on the 22nd in recognition of Aviation Day. So that'll be a nice celebration there. And then just a couple months after that, I'm giving you plenty of notice, everybody out there, so you can get your running shoes dusted off and start training. We're going to do that 5K race again on the runway. And for those of you who are trying to qualify for a bigger race, this is a USA Track and Field certified course now. We did have it certified between last year and this year. So anybody who's looking to use this as a qualifying race, you'll be able to use this as an official stat. And Grounded Running is going to be the race directors, so to speak, race host for us. So everything's going to be chip timed. And the course is exactly 3.1 miles. So it'll be a great event. And we moved into October for a couple of reasons. Number one, hoping it'd be just a little bit cooler, moving into the fall. And also October 9th was a good weekend because we've got, I think Clemson is off and I think Carolina is away. So we're hoping to not have a conflict with people going to college football games. Apologize to any Citadel grads out there. We did not factor your schedule into the determination. So no offense meant, but you got a small stadium. All right, moving right along. Any questions there at ARW before we hit a Hilton Head? Trey's got one, but there you go. Nope, can't hear you.
John?
There you go.
John? Yeah, sorry about that. I'm not very familiar. The only one thing that I ask if you and Elena would look at, I noticed on all the graphs going through Hilton Head and Beaufort, we're not consistent on our orange, green, and blue for our years. Now, by my trade, that my eye sees that. If you notice as we go through the charts, our years for orange, green, and blue differ from different charts. So maybe for next meeting, if y'all could look at that and just get that a little more consistent so that when you look at the charts, the color coordination stays the same.
Yeah, absolutely. We left it that way for the architects in the group, but you engineers, you see everything that way. So, hey, I apologize for all you right brain people. Trey's left brain is going to drive this. So he is the chairman. So we'll make the adjustment.
Right, thank you.
Not a problem, Trey. We'll make that happen. Anybody else for AOW?
Yeah, John, I had a question for you. And can you hear me all right?
Yes.
All right, sorry about that. Fuel farm. So I tried to get fuel there, a couple weeks back, and Paul did a great job helping me out there. What's the future expansion plans for the fuel farm at ARW?
For expansion of the fuel farm, that's in the distant future for ARW. So yeah, no time soon for expansion.
And what I'm getting at is several times, in the last couple of months that I've been out there, I've seen the fuel farm go down. And I don't know if it's network issues or if it's just the age of the interface or whatever else it might be. So that's one of my concerns, I'll put it that way.
You talking about self-serve fuel and a connection or a volume going down?
Self-serve and being able to connect. Myself, and I've seen other people go out there and not be able to get self-serve, so they end up having to wait for a truck. And if the airport's busy, that can be a significant delay for guys who are flying.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point there. Thanks for bringing that up. We are going to address that with our new fuel provider, and we'll come up with, that's one of the action items for y'all to vote on today. But that's part of the package that we hope to work with our new fuel provider, is at least for that self-serve, just to update that so that we don't have those issues that you're having.
Gotcha. Appreciate that, John.
Anybody else for ARW? And I can't see everybody, so I need you to just, if you have something, just go ahead and speak out. All right. We'll move on to Hilton Head. Okay, we've got the vision and the mission, same ones we had last month. I'd just like to run those back by there. And we will, again, we'll continue to work on these so we can get ARWs figured out too. It's been a pretty busy month. All right, so you've seen that. Now I'll go through the stats here. Here's your avgas. You have this in your backup as well, but avgas did pretty well. Jet continues to increase year over year. That's just general aviation fuel, and that's the commercial numbers. Obviously, commercial's been pretty busy here. And then total flow is up, which is great. So a lot of tanker trucks coming in and out of Hilton Head. It's been pretty busy. Questions on the fuel stats, anybody?
Hey, John, I do have a question. Does Beaufort County take a concession with fuel flow?
We do on some of it, David, not on the commercial.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the commercial is all pre-bought by the airlines. All right, we'll take a look at the numbers here, enplanements and deplanements. Okay, looking at the solid colors there for 21. Everybody's trending up. Delta was a little bit low month over month, but year over year, they're high. So big numbers. We'll go through some specifics later on here. Then total passengers, again, still trending up on total passengers. Right. Questions on that? Anybody on the numbers for HXD? right, everybody's good on that. Let's see. I want to now. Probably didn't prep Leslie enough, but she's always good speaking off the cuff. I want to talk about the Airport Ambassador Program, and Leslie has done an awesome job being in the airport a couple of Saturdays already. Not only on an observation basis, but working in the airport as an ambassador on a couple of our busy Saturdays. So, Leslie, if you want to give just kind of a thumbnail sketch, I know you're not spoken in detail, but if you want to hit a couple of the highlights of just of some of your main observations, and just tell the group what you've done there in the airport on these Saturdays, if you would. Still have Leslie? There she is. Thank you. There you go.
Yeah, this has been quite an experience on Saturdays. I usually am over there from about 11 to 4, and that's when the crowds are with the airport. I'm finding that the people are very appreciative of someone being there. I'm stationed right next to the LEOs, and of course the LEOs have had to answer all these questions in the past, so I think they're also very appreciative. And the airline staff, I have backed them up on occasions. It's been so busy on Saturdays, the airlines have had to pull people out of line to get them up to the gate while their flight is waiting. And in order to do that, they have to walk the entire line and call out the flight numbers. And so I've helped with that as well. And I think that's been a help to them. I'm putting together, I'm doing this to help John and Steve put together a program, a training program for ambassadors to be there kind of on a full-time basis, or at least at our most busy times. I don't think it'll be that much of a chore. It'll be based on the existing terminal and the renovations coming up. And there's really only room for one person because of the limited space. But once we get the new terminal, of course, that will change the program. But that's what I'm working on. And it has been very rewarding for the passengers, I believe. And so I will continue to work on that through the summer.
Thank you, Leslie. And, Leslie's background, it's very humble and not talking about that, but Leslie's background really made her kind of the ideal candidate to pilot this program. She's got the background working with TSA and customer service in San Diego Airport. So much busier airport, again, a destination airport, but a lot more people going through that airport than ours. And Leslie interfaces with the public very well. And since she has a good understanding of what needs to happen in the terminal with people moving and then understanding the concerns that they have, because travel is an inherently stressful operation when you're a passenger, whether you're going by train, bus, or airplane, it can be a stressful experience. And Leslie does a good job of, being able to speak to the folks and kind of provide information. And we find that providing people with information helps to alleviate some stress. It may not solve every problem, but at least if they have some information, they feel a little bit better about things. So we realize that given our facilities, we're not going to be able to solve everybody's problem right now. But if they have somebody they can talk to and somebody who is a little bit knowledgeable about what's going on to help direct them through and get them moving around, then that definitely helps. So that's Leslie's background made her the perfect candidate. So thank you for that. And again, we look forward to cultivating this program and adding some more folks. So feel free to maybe talk with Leslie, and then she'll talk with Steve and myself, and we'll recruit some more folks to help out in there. Again, it's a pretty low key deal. It's completely voluntary. The benefits that you get are just, feeling good that you help people out. So thanks again, Leslie, for volunteering to do that.
You're welcome.
All right. So we will move to the next one. Okay, another shot of that new terminal. I'm kind of doing this on purpose. When you see the numbers, you're going to realize again and again while I'm showing you the terminal pictures, because we need this terminal very badly. So these are the passenger numbers. In 2020, we had 158,485. Halfway through 2021, we've got 179,000. Okay, that's with the first few months still pretty strong in COVID. So these numbers just started going up in March. So you can almost wipe January and February off of that number. So we've seen that basically in 4 months. Trey?
Hey, John, since you'll be part of the design team, this is just a pet peeve I want to throw out there since we are an advisory board. We were in the airport just a couple weeks ago and the architect had designed a brick paver flooring, and 90% of the passengers are dragging their rolling bags around, clink, clank, clunking, clunking, clanking. So as you start the design process, looks like maybe a terrazzo type of floor that y'all are thinking about. Airport terminals with smooth floors make a lot of sense with everybody using rolling bags. And obviously, I'm sure the designers will think about the charging stations, where you sit, tables, so that way you don't have people laying on the floor next to a column and an outlet. It makes it much more convenient because we're all charging our stuff constantly as we travel. And those little things are pet peeves, but they actually make people remember what a great experience it was to be in Hilton Head.
Yeah, that's a good point, Trey. And we're done with the design. I mean, it's finished up. All these are already in there. So what you see is it's pretty close to what's going to happen. So you will have charging stations in the seating. Not every type of seating has it, but I assume the tables in between some of those living room chairs would have charging stands. So our aim was to provide a variety of seating so that you could have people who if they wanted to work, they can put their laptops out. If they want to just sit and read a magazine, they can do that, and everything in between. And then, yes, you will see the terrazzo type floors, so it won't have that clickety clack that I've heard too in some airports. The old Charleston airport was that way, so it's a bit of a pain.
And is that Steve Perry I see there with #1 on his shirt?
Yes, you win the prize. I was hoping somebody would catch that, but yeah, that's our deputy director making his way through the virtual terminal there. So we do let him travel, but that's the only way he gets to travel is virtually. So congratulations, Steve. You were spotted. Trey, that means Steve gets to take you out to lunch at some point, I guess. I don't know. That was kind of my word to Waldo. You got to have some fun with these meetings. Okay, so those numbers are great, and this is an eye-opening number as well. In all of 2017, we had about 54,000 people go through the terminal. In June, we had just about 53,000 people go through the terminal. Same building, guys. So if anybody has a problem with advocating for a new terminal, hopefully this will change your mind. This is the same facility to put 54,000 people through in 12 months. We did it in 1 month this year. We're not bragging because we're doing a great job. We're telling you we need help. So if anybody, if there's a senator out there that owes you a favor, it's time to call on it, because we really, really need this terminal to get started, because the faster we get it started, the faster we can get it finished.
Hey, John, I'd like to see a little more PR about what's going on at the terminal, because as you know, there have been some rather sizable waits because of the influx of flights. But I don't see enough publicity about the benefits of the new terminal and a heads up to the folks who are currently using the terminal. So I don't know what can be done, but some added help there to the public might benefit everybody.
Yes, thank you. And we're waiting on an installation of a big screen monitor in there that's going to loop these pictures through so people see the images of the new terminal. We've had some issues with, kind of along with everything else, getting not only the equipment lined up, but getting the people to install the equipment. So it's coming. I know I told you that last month that it was coming, but it really is coming. And right alongside the TSA queue line is where that monitor will be placed, so that folks will be able to see the new terminal.
And how about some press release material out to the Packard and some of the other local newspapers?
I'm happy to talk with you offline on what you think the content of that ought to be. It could be helpful.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, some other great things going on. Exit lane project. I don't remember if we talked about it last month or not, but TSA has located a piece of screening equipment that we've been looking for about 5 years, and is ready to ship to us. So we've got a project that's going to completely redo the exit lane. In fact, it's going to move it from where it is. So the TSA checkpoint is going to be able to take up the entire area that it's in, that whole hallway, in order to accommodate this new piece of equipment. And then in the exit lane will actually be outside. So you'll come into the terminal, not far from where it is now. It'll be just about where the concessions and vending area is. So that'll be starting here probably within a week or two. We'll have noticeable construction going on there. And then Systemax Solutions, you may recall after the last meeting, I sent out an email saying that I forgot to talk to everybody about a rebranding campaign that we're working on at the airport. Systemax is the group that we've chosen to take us through this process. And we're starting soon with just kind of a visioning and idea session with Systemax. And we'll see where that goes as we develop a complete new branding package. So it'll be everything from, new logo for the airport to, color schemes, fonts, everything. So we'll have rules attached to this. So if anybody's dealing with any kind of airport business, you'll actually have a branding book that you use as a guideline with fonts, sizes, colors, all that good stuff. So if you're in the marketing world, this all sounds normal to you. If you're somebody like me, it's very exciting and new. So Systemax is our crew, and we're really looking forward to getting that kicked off. It's not going to take that long to come up with a new brand, so we're thinking that's probably, I think they told me like maybe a couple of month process. So hopefully by fall we'll be able to come at you with a new with some ideas on where we are. I'll probably engage some of you separately. So if you get a call from me to participate in this, we may need your expertise and imagination as we go through this process. All right, and then last but certainly not least, we have a new airport security coordinator, Craig Weber, and you may know him if you've been badged in the last 6 or so months. Craig was our assistant security coordinator, and Bill Musser, who was here as a deputy for quite a while, a sheriff's deputy, and then as an airport security coordinator. He's moved on. His wife are doing some different things, and so Craig has stepped up, and we've promoted him internally to be the airport security coordinator. So if you are, have any badging concerns, access concerns, he's going to be the guy that you'll see. And I think it'd be, you're definitely in good hands with Craig.
Ever.
Okay, I'm not sure what that was, but so anyway, Craig's a new airport security coordinator. He'll be taking care of everything and going through our audits and everything else that's security related. So I'd say welcome aboard, but he's been here, but welcome into the new position. Congratulations to Craig. We're glad to have him. And I think that takes me to the end. Does anybody have any other questions?
John, does the new airport security manager have the same phone number as Mr. Musser? Or is that going to
change? Yes, if you had that old cell phone number, that actually transferred from Renee was the first one with it. It's the same number that's going on through. So if you've got the old one, that's the same one.
Okay.
John, 2 questions. The first, I presume that the new branding effort will be incorporated in the new terminal graphics as well. I mean, those two are combining.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And then secondly, I noticed that you've increased the amount of parking that's available at Hilton Head with simple crusher run on the sides of the driveway. Are those cars expected to be paying the fee as well? Are they obligated to check in?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, and actually, David, that expanded parking's been there for a good while now. Hadn't always filled up, at least during COVID. It didn't. We had that installed probably not too long before COVID, just a few months.
Amazing.
In 2019.
It's full all the time now.
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
All right, anybody else? All right, Mr. Chairman, I'll turn it back to you.
Trying to figure these buttons out. Okay, thank you, John. Well done. Let's see. Let's go to unfinished business. Do we have any unfinished business from the previous meeting? I don't have any listed on the agenda, so I'm not sure of any. And we'll go back to John for new business. We have 2 action items this month. One is the Hilton Head work authorization. I believe that's for the taxiway, the parallel taxiway for the engineering and planning services. And the second one is for ARW, John mentioned earlier, about signing up for a new fuel subcontractor. So I don't know if everybody's had a chance to review those. We'll talk about them briefly. Go ahead, John, you got the floor again.
Okay, thank you. Yes, the work authorization for Talbot Brighton Ellington is for the design and bidding services associated with the Hilton Head Island Airport's runway and taxiway strengthening project. So we'll get that design finished up and then move on to construction, hopefully shortly thereafter. That'll increase the bearing capacity of the runway and the taxiways at Hilton Head Island, not only in anticipation of heavier jets, but just in anticipation of the continued service with the jets that are coming in now, just because the numbers are picking up. So that'll take our bearing capacity to, I think we decided somewhere in the 120,000 pound range. I think that's the right number for for dual wheels. So we definitely need that. And so this is the design contract for that. And this will go, because of the dollar amount, this will go to Public Facilities Committee and then on to County Council for final approval. And this is grant covered. It is funded by what will be grant 47 for Hilton Island Airport, and it is 100% FAA funded grant. So there is no local or state participation in this one.
Hey, John, quick question. When you're bidding out for engineering and planning, does this go out for a request for pricing also? And you have multiple people bid on it?
No, it does not. We've got a master services agreement with Talbot Brighton Ellington.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yep. So they do all the consulting for both airports.
And do we have any way to verify that it's a fair and equitable and reasonable cost?
That is an excellent question. That's actually a requirement by the FAA in order to get a grant. Is you have to do a separate project, which is called an independent fee estimate, with a consultant who does not do work on your airport and is not anticipated to do work on your airport. So we do that. We engage a completely separate consultant to review the cost estimates provided by our consultants, and then that gets submitted to the FAA as part of the package.
So it's almost, we pay a consultant almost a small fee to do a peer review, basically, to say it's fair and equitable.
That's correct, and those fees are all grant eligible. So in this case, 100% reimbursed.
Awesome. Good information. Thank you, John.
Thank you. That's a good question. Thanks for that. Okay, so at this point, unless nobody has questions, Trey, you'll just need a motion, a second, open it for questions, and then take a vote.
Okay, so I'm opening up the floor for a motion to approve. Let me give a little description. The engineer and planning services for preparation, design, bidding of contract drawings for the existing runway 321 pavement and for the existing taxiway F pavement. And this is project number TBI 2119-2101 from Talbot, Bright, and Ellington Inc. Do I have a motion? Howard makes a motion. I need a second. Can I get a second from the board? Brian seconds. So we need to vote on the motion. All in favor, either vote in favor by waving your hand or saying aye. Okay, looks like the majority. Anybody opposed? No, or give me a thumbs down. Anybody opposed to this? So the ayes have taken. This is approved for the work authorization. John, I'll hand it back over to you for the Campbell Oil Company fuel contract.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All right, switching over to Beaufort Executive Airport. The reason we bid this out is, as you probably know, we are our own FBO over there, so we provide the refueling services for the aircraft. And for years, we've had what was Eastern Aviation, and then was rebranded and retitled as Titan Fuel, Titan Aviation Fuels. They've had the contract with us for probably a good 6 years, maybe longer than that, on and off. They actually had the previous contract, and then when we bid it, they won it again. They incidentally did not bid on this opportunity, but their contract came due, so we put it out for bid this spring. We did have 3 responses, which were all pretty solid responses. What we liked the most about Campbell Oil, and we did have an internal committee of airport staff review the different submittals. Campbell Oil is local. They're regional. They're right up in eastern North Carolina in Elizabethtown, and they brought a lot of. They're a family-owned business. They're a pretty good-sized company now, but not only do they deal in aviation fuels, they also deal in retail auto fuels as well. So they seem to be, in our opinion, a little bit more dialed in on the nuances of the fuel pricing, and they're able to make changes downward mostly changes in favor of the airport as far as supply prices go. Plus, they offered some great loyalty programs. They are a Phillips 66 branded dealership. Shell is actually getting out of the branded dealerships for aviation fuel. So Phillips 66 is the largest right now. So we will be Phillips 66 branded. They had excellent options for the lease fuel trucks, refuelers that we use. The maintenance plans associated with those trucks, which is a huge concern when you're the folks who are using the trucks. And then they also had some other programs along the lines of what was brought up earlier as far as the self-serve pumps. There's some assistance with some projects like that as well, some financial and tech assistance with those programs. So we hope to be able to leverage that to make some improvements out at the farm. So with all those being very strong positives that the committee saw, the selection committee saw, we looked at Campbell Oil as our choice. So we're going to bring that to you. And again, this will go to Public Facilities Committee and then on to County Council. And just as a reminder, even though this goes forward as a purchase, as an expense item, so to speak, it's not really an expense because at the end of the day, we sell the fuel at a profit. So we just like to remind people about that.
John, I'm not sure who I know we had 3 companies we reached out to receive comments for. Who handled getting the pricing on that by chance?
That we coordinate through the county's purchasing department.
Do you know if Perry Brothers Aviation Fuel out of Americus, Georgia was contacted?
They were, and they did. They missed the bid deadline on it. I think they intended to, but something happened and they did not submit a bid.
All right. Okay. I know they do a lot of work in the Southeast and get very good results for their customer service. So if they missed a date, they missed a date.
Yep.
John, a couple of months ago, we talked about trying to unbundle the ARW accounting system from the county's accounting system so that you have the ability to produce your own profit and loss statements on a timely basis. Has any work been done on that yet?
Yeah, we're still working on that, Howard, to be honest with you. We got into the kind of year end and year start and budget push, so there hasn't been a whole lot of ability to interface with county finance because they've been focused on other things. We really need them to help us decouple that if that's the deal. And it may not be the deal. It might be an instance where we can use the Munis system that we can interface, the point of sale and tracking system in the airport with Munis. But regardless, we did talk with Campbell a little bit about that during the interview process. And that was something that they're familiar with. They've done it with other airports. So we'll probably use it a little bit as a consultant to find out the best way that we can track some of that.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Good question.
All right, John, are you done discussing? Are we ready to talk about the?
Yes, sir. Okay. Yes, sir. It's up to you.
Okay, give me a second. So I do know, I did research just a little bit. I do know that there were 3 companies that, just to follow up, there were 3 companies that were that submitted bids: AEG Fuels, Campbell Oil Company, and World Fuel Services. I believe, John, you, Paul, Myers, Steve, y'all all did a review and voted on the 3 different companies for which y'all thought were pros and cons. And it looked like Campbell Oil Company won outright fairly easily in the vote. It was 388 to 313 to 295. Am I reading that correctly?
Yes.
Okay. So good. So thank you for doing the research on that. Well done. So that being said, we will now put up a motion. I'll ask for a motion from the floor. Let me make sure I say this correctly. This is for Beaufort Executive Airport for a vote to subcontract Campbell Oil Company to handle the fuel services at the ARW Airport. And John, I don't have the memory. How long is this contract for? Is it a 5-year?
Trey, I don't have it in front of me. I don't remember.
I don't either. All right. Sorry, board. I can't give you that information, but I do know it's an extended contract. So we need to ask for a motion from the floor to approve Campbell Oil Company for the fuel contract for ARW. Do I have a motion? Nick, thank you. I need a second. Howard, I think you were making a motion. Will you give me a second on that? Howard will second. So we need to take a vote again. If you're in favor, vote by either saying aye or waving your hand or thumbs up. And okay, and if you are against it, either say no or a thumbs down. Anybody opposed? Looks like the ayes have it. That's approved. So John, we can go ahead and execute that contract with Campbell Oil Company.
Thank you. And again, we'll move that forward to Public Facilities Committee, actually this coming Monday, and then it'll move on to County Council, I believe, the following week. So we should have that ready to go in August, and then we'll start that transition between the companies.
All right, and we'll move on to item number 12, Chairman update. Howard, you had mentioned that maybe you were going to send me a copy of the chairman's, who the chairman of the different committees are.
My apologies. I neglected to do that. I will do that.
Thank you. You or Helena, whoever's got that information. Howard, you did an excellent job motivating the chairmen to keep their projects moving forward with ideas. And I have not done so good on that the first couple of months. So I do want to make that a priority for myself. So I'll open up the floor if any chairmen of any committee, chairpersons have any comments or updates or any ideas they want to work on. I do give you a commitment that if I get that information, I'll reach out to the chairmen in the next 4 weeks. And we'll start getting some ideas back on the board for projects that they can help with. So are there any chairmen of committees like to speak up now? Any ideas or anything they're working on? I've got to get the chairman active, yes. All right, citizen comment. Again, we'll open up the floor to any citizens have any comments. Again, we'll limit it to 3 minutes. If you need more than 3 minutes and the board has time, we'll extend that. So we'll open the floor if any citizens have any comments. Jimbo, go ahead. You have the floor. Go ahead, Jim. You have the floor. Stuart, we'll get to you next. Jim,
He's muted.
It's green to me, but I can't hear you, Jim. Anybody hear Jim?
Good. See if that works, Jim. There you go.
Jim, are you there?
Try it again, Jim.
I'll tell you what. Well, Jim, are you there? He's trying to change it.
There for a second, then you went right back to unmute or to mute.
Stuart, Robin, we'll go ahead and open the floor up to you while Jim works on his microphone. Go ahead, Stuart. You have the floor.
Yeah, just a quick update from the county perspective. John and the financial staff and Eric have been working on the funding for the terminal. We're going to have a workshop, I guess, next Tuesday. The staff seems kind of encouraged that there's potentially some plans to get this done. And because, as you know, we don't have it fully funded. We have the money earmarked from the FAA, but there's still a shortfall to be funded. So anyway, I think the next meeting, John will have some things to report on that. So that's just an update of something that's happening.
Thank you, Stuart. Thank you for the update. Jimbo, you have the floor. Let's try it one more time. I think Jim has given up, so hopefully we can get that corrected for the next meeting.
Jim, you can send it in via the chat box if you want. That's the little thing on the bottom. We'll read it for you.
Trey, this is Glenn, if I could.
Yep, Glenn Stanford, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. I have a question for Leslie. I want to know what are the issues and what are the types of questions that she's getting as an airport ambassador here on Hilton Head?
Well, we've had some issues with delayed flights, and whenever a flight is delayed, the board has trouble keeping up with the flight. So many times, well, first of all, TSA has instituted a policy where they're only screening X amount of flights because we don't have that much room in the gate area. A lot of people show up now, and because nationally the airlines are telling people to show up at the airport for 2 to 3 hours before. So they're showing up 3 hours before and they're getting in line, and TSA will not let them go into the gate or area that far in advance. So I approach them as they're entering the ticket line and or the security line and ask them where they're going. And when I realize it's a flight that's several hours out, I explain to them to have a seat and watch the board because they won't be allowed to go through. And I think that's helped tremendously because they wait in line to get up front and have TSA say, sorry, we can't screen you now. But the problem with that is the board doesn't always keep up when flights get delayed. So I've had to kind of walk the lines and let people know what flights are coming through, and they should be in line at least an hour. I have done all the wait time, so I know where in line how long it's going to take to get through security. So when it gets to an hour wait, I will make sure they know that's when they've got to get in line. That's the main thing.
It sounds like this board issue is an issue that the Beaufort County Airports Board should work on and see if we can get that to where it is more up to date so that people are not confused or annoyed by that. Do you get questions from people about directions to any locations on the island?
Yes, and the big question is taxis, because there is a problem with getting Ubers and taxis to the airport. And there actually have been some late night delays where people have had to get a late night taxi or even hotel because their flight got canceled. So I've gotten questions about that as well. And I have a list of transportation needs, but I'd like to develop a better rapport with our taxi services so we can get that a little better in line.
Especially, I think you're providing a very valuable service there. And for one town council member, I can say thank you very much for your service.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Trey.
All right, you're welcome, Glenn. Quick question, Leslie. Thank you for standing there and educating the passengers that they can't go through TSA prior to 1 hour before. John, could we look at doing a nice sign, getting a nice sign printed up that states the same thing? So when Leslie's not there being the ambassador, the passengers see that, they know their flight's at 4. They don't even think about going through TSA before 3 o'clock. That way they stay in the lobby area. Is that something y'all discussed? Maybe put some signage up that says that?
Not to be cynical, Trey, but if I put any more signs in the terminal, you won't be able to put any people in there. Nobody reads signs. Okay. And so we've got, we're doing our best with the boards. And like Leslie said, there are some software things that we're looking into to figure out how to deal with delays and mechanicals, because that can really kind of mess up that board. So that's something that is not controlled by us, but we're trying to figure out how that information is fed to the system. So we'll work on that. But we've got, public address that plays every so often that talks about the 1 hour deal. It's also on our website. First time you log onto our website, it's going to pop up as an alert and cover the screen. You can't see anything else until you move that aside. Same thing on social media. Aside from Leslie meeting everybody at the door and telling them that, at some point, you got to let the passengers kind of do their thing.
And by the way, Trey, it does flash on the board what flights are being screened. That comes up, periodically, which these flights are now being screened. So I tell them to watch the board, and then they know when to get in line, as long as the line hasn't gotten too long.
One other thing, John, for public comment, we see your passenger numbers. I mean, you're looking at almost 300,000 for this year, if we're at 170 through 6 months. If we have 300,000 passengers and our capacity is getting that great, that also tells me that we're going to have more people showing up at Hilton Head that think they're going to Savannah, and more people show up at Savannah that think they're supposed to be at Hilton Head. Has there been any more thoughts or discussion about, I personally would like to see Savannah drop the name Savannah Hilton Head. I just don't think that's correct. And I know there's been some problems with people showing up at the wrong airport, going to the wrong town. Have y'all had any more thoughts or discussions on how we pursue that we are Hilton Head Airport and not Savannah Hilton Head?
That's a constant one, Trey, and I can't tell you we're any closer to a solution, but it is a constant issue.
So it is something you're addressing, because
I think
that's a problem. It's going to get worse over time, not better if we have more passengers.
It is, and I'll be honest, I can't tell you I'm actively addressing it. I've got a lot more near battles I'm fighting right now.
You do.
We really do. So we're doing the best we can. I'm relying on folks like you to help us with things like that. That's more of a strategic, most likely an elected official type issue. We'll weigh in where we can with data, but we're going to need the power of the elected officials to maybe carry that water for us. And that's my suspicion.
And that might be a good committee that we ask for volunteers out of the board to kind of help focus that, because I do think it's going to be an issue over the next 3 to 5 years. It's going to get worse, not better. And it's just going to have upset passengers at both locations. So, okay, good.
Great.
Citizen, yep, David has the floor.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. I've been asked by the mayor to introduce John at our next week's town council meeting to give a update on the airport. John, has the mayor given you any specific guideline on what you're supposed to be talking about, or is it specifically the traffic at the airport terminal now?
No, that's it. Thank you for that. I will be there Tuesday to make that address, and it's basically a general update. So, I'll hit a few highlights, and I don't know how long you would want me up there for question and answer. That could be kind of an open invitation there, but anything specific you'd like to see me address, I certainly will, but the mayor hasn't given me anything specific.
Okay, I think your vision and mission statement should be introducing the topic. I've been close to you on what you've been doing over the last month to smooth out operational issues at the airport, your conversations with the airlines, the modest changes that they've made, any operational changes that you've been able to do, the board as an example. And then 2 other items. One is the statistics. Howard mentioned, we ought to be getting the information out to the community. Now, I understand it's a double-edged sword, but we've got some impressive increases in service there, and I think there's a judgment call on how much you want to focus on that, but that's just an item. The other item that I think is well worth mentioning is what Leslie's been doing. We are a hospitality community, and Leslie is being a quintessential hostess. And I think that's something that we ought to be trumpeting for our community. And it's not just up to Leslie to do it, but expanding that program makes a lot of sense to me. And I just wonder whether or not the USCB hospitality organization, the school, the students in some way might be able to help us in that area. But if there's more you want to talk about before next Tuesday, why don't we just talk offline? But I do think it's an opportunity for council and the community to learn what your efforts have been to make that experience at the terminal as hospitable as possible. Thank you.
I think David's right. You need to be very careful with the numbers, certainly, because we still have a segment of the population on Hilton Head that are not airport lovers. But certainly a good part of your time should be dedicated to explaining the terminal expansion. You have great graphics, you have a great story, and it will go to solve many of the issues that our passengers and our guests are experiencing now. So I'm not sure how much time they'll give you either, but certainly a good part of it should be using the graphics that you've been sharing with us over the last few months.
I would expect somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 15 minutes. And chances are there might be some council questions, but I don't think it'll be opened up to the public.
Thank you, David. And Howard, thank you for the follow-up. Brian, I believe you raised your hand for public comment. Brian, you have the floor.
Yeah, actually, I have a question for Leslie. But before I ask her the question, I want to emphasize what a bunch of people have already been saying, that her efforts at the airport terminal, I think, are invaluable, and I commend her for doing this. But my question is, you talked a little while ago about the experience of coming into the TSA check line. I'm interested in hearing from you what comments you're getting from the passengers that have just landed and what their experience was contacting the airport for the first time as they're coming into the terminal. What sort of comments have you been getting about that?
I haven't really had the time to have comments. I will tell you this, there's usually, when I'm there, it's the most crowded time, and there's a bottleneck to get the passengers through the line and over to the baggage. And that's what I focus on, because I usually have to break the line to do that. But I do welcome all of them. And the only they're not really comments, but a couple people have asked me about taxi service, because they're used to going to an airport and stepping outside and having taxis waiting. And when they do that and there's no taxis, they get a little frustrated. I think that's the biggest issue. But I do make a point to welcome them. I have a shirt on that says Hilton Head Island, and I welcome them as much as I can as they're coming through.
Have you been getting any negative comments about the fact that after landing, there's a significant delay in getting to the terminal and getting off the airplane, or is that not an issue?
Well, I don't think that's an issue, because there isn't a significant delay getting into the terminal. They want the people off the plane and out of that area right away. So they come through the doorway and they move down toward the baggage area. And I haven't seen any delays, which I'm amazed at our very antiquated baggage system to get those bags out to the people. They're coming out and people are on their way. So I haven't gotten complaints on that yet.
Leslie, when you're at the airport, outside of your shirt, are you wearing any sort of badging that says Hilton Head Island Airport Ambassador or member of Beaufort County Airports Board, some sort of badging on your shirt?
Yes, I am. I have a badge that entitles me as Hilton Head Island Airport Ambassador.
Great, thank you.
Stuart, you have the floor.
Just a follow-on comment relative to the increases and what we say to the public. You know, on the surface, we're going up by quite a multiple, but the flip side of that is that we're actually operating larger planes that are quieter, with more passengers and probably higher load factors. So even though we may have, let's say, 4 or 5 times as many people, we may only be operating maybe twice as many planes as we historically did. So that may be a way to help soothe the people that are opposed to what's going on. So it's just a thought for John as he's putting it together.
Thank you.
I'd like, if I may, I think Howard made a very important point. A fairly significant portion of your talk should be dedicated to the future and the plans and the new terminal, because that mollifies the issue that is temporary, the crowding of the existing terminal.
And thank you, David, for that follow-up. And let's go to Jimbo one more time. Jim, do you want to try your mic one more time? I'm giving you every opportunity I can, Jim, before we adjourn. Okay. They knocked off because they got the 4 early tomorrow. Oh, sorry. I had someone walk in the office. Give me 2 seconds. All right, so let's see. Jim's not working, so I believe we need to make a motion to adjourn the meeting. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Anybody? Need one? Howard makes a motion. I need a second to adjourn. Thomas, thank you. That being said, the next virtual meeting will be held Thursday, August 19th, third Thursday of the month. Remember that. 2021, 1:30 p.m. Elena will send out the information the week prior to that. She's doing an excellent job getting it to us on Monday or Tuesday, so we have time to review. So if there's any other business, any other comments, the meeting is officially adjourned. Everybody have a great month. Thank you.